Yes.
So let's save our questions for.
I I'm supposed to talk about Chinua Achebe, whose very, very popular book, Things Fall Apart, is 50 years old this year. It means that his book, Things Fall Apart, is older than his country, Nigeria, and doing better than Nigeria. uh, I was privileged to be one of the reporters who interviewed him a few weeks ago actually, and it is amazing that this man Chinua Achebe uh, was acting like a wine. You know, the older he grew, the better he tasted. And this is a man who has been on a wheelchair for the past 15 years. But as we spoke up to a point, he began to tell us all kinds of stories because, as you all know, he's a very powerful storyteller. And he left us with also a lot of anecdotes and analogies. And someone was asking him why he wasn't very pro women, in his books. Apparently, some parts of his book were offensive to the feminist movement. And he said that's not true, as a matter of fact. And they told the story of how when men wanted to reach out to God, that was when God was still nearer to the surface of the earth. They were looking for people who could talk to God, and they consulted with the oracle. And the oracle said to them that only women would be allowed to talk to God. So women in the eastern part of Nigeria, Igbo, were asked to come around this very, very powerful tree and be in charge of whomever would climb the tree to see God or ask questions from God. And that if women can be entrusted with the only communication process in those days with meeting God, there is no doubt in his mind that women, first and foremost, were not only pure but powerful, and that he acknowledges that. He asked me to say this to all the people who felt offended or who still believe that he's a chauvinist, that he's not. I would have chosen to read Things Fall Apart today, a chapter or a paragraph from it, but in speaking to him, he said that Things Fall Apart is being celebrated in about 50 countries around the world this year. And if everybody picks a chapter, they would have read the entire book. And he wants it to be sold. So we are no longer reading Things Fall Apart. So I decided that I'll read another book of his. That's Girls at War. And the chapter that I'm going to read talks about Uncle Ben's choice. Which after, in my process of reading it, you understand how he also was very current about things happening in post-colonial Africa. In the year 1919, I was a young clerk in the Niger company at Umuru. To be a clerk in those days is like to be a minister today. My salary was £2.10. You may laugh, but £2.10 in those days is like £50 today. You can buy a big goat with 4 shillings. I could remember the most senior African in the company was one Saro man on 10-13-4. He was like Governor General in our eyes. Like all progressive young men, I joined the African club. We played tennis and billiards. Every year, we played a tournament with the European club. But I was less concerned with that. What I liked was the Saturday night dances. Women were surplus. Not all the war women you saw in the township today, but beautiful things like this. I had a Riley bicycle, brand new, and everybody called me Jolly Ben. I was selling like hot bread. But there's one thing about me. We can laugh and joke and drink and do otherwise, but I must always keep my sense with me. My father told me that a true son of our land must know how to sleep and keep one eye open. I never forget it. So I played and laughed with everyone and they shouted, "Jolly Ben, Jolly Ben." But I knew what I was doing. The women of Umuru are very, very sharp, like the girls in New York. Before you count A, they count B. So I had to be very careful. I never showed any of them the road to my house. And I never ate the food they cooked for fear of love medicines. I had seen many young men kill themselves with women in those days. So I remembered my father's word, never let a handshake pass the elbow. I can say that the only exception was one tall, yellow, saltwater girl like this called Margaret. One Sunday morning, I was playing my gramophone, a brand new HMV Senior. I never believe in second-hand things. If I have no money for a new one, I just keep myself quiet. That's my motto. I was playing this record and standing at the window with my chewing stick in my mouth. People were passing in their fine, fine dresses to one church nearby. This Margaret was going with them when she saw me. As luck would have it, I did not see her in time to hide. So that very day, she did not wait till tomorrow or next tomorrow. But as soon as church closed, she returned back. According to her, she wanted to convert me to Roman Catholic. Wonders will never end. Margaret Jumbo. Beautiful thing like this. But it is not Margaret I want to tell you about now. I want to tell you about how I stopped all that foolishness. It was one New Year's Eve like this. You know how New Year can pass Christmas for jollity? For we end of month people. By Christmas Day, the month has reached 20 hungry. But on New Year, your pocket is heavy. So that day I went to the club. When I see you young men of nowadays, you drink, I just laugh. You don't know what drink is. You drink one bottle of beer or one shot of whiskey and you begin to holler like Chris Man. That night I was taking it easy on White Horse. All that are desirous to pass from Edinburgh to London or any other place on their road, let them repair to the White Horse cellar. God Almighty. One thing with me is I never mix my drinks. The day I want to drink whiskey, I know that is whiskey day. If I want to drink beer tomorrow when I know it is beer day, I don't touch any other thing. That night, I was on White Horse. I had one roasted chicken and a tin of Guinea gold. Yes, I used to smoke in those days. I only stopped when one German doctor told me my heart was as black as a cooking pot. So this is Chinua Achebe.
And we like the way you read it.
Exactly.
With empathy and feeling.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can put, anywhere you saw Omori, you can put New York there. So